Hey traders, Rick here, Hit and Run Candlesticks. How are you? Hey, this is Sunday, October 23rd, 2022. I want to talk about Netflix real quick. I had one of our members email me about Netflix and asked if I could do a video on how to break it down as simple as possible. And that's what I would like to attempt to do. Now, before we start looking at things, I want to remind everybody that trading, you can make it as complicated as you want. You can start down a rabbit hole, and you could keep going down rabbit holes, different indicators, and the chart doing this and doing that, doing somersaults and flipping over here. What's the market doing? There is an absolute. It's just a great big rabbit hole is what it is. Or you could just simply draw a line in the sand and just tell yourself, this is going to be my strategy, and go with it. First of all, I want to remind you that there is absolutely no guarantee that a trade is going to work out for you or anybody else. That you've got to make peace with that. You just truly do as a trader. So let's talk about Netflix, okay? And I'm going to break this down as simple as possible. And what I would like to do is start with this over here, right there. Number one, in this email that I received from this member, asked me what indicators I use. Start with, I don't use indicators. Well, I take that back. Let me explain the indicators. Let me list them out for you. I use trend and price action. Okay. Some people don't consider price action as an indicator, but I kind of think we do. So I use trend. I use a couple of moving averages, and maybe a couple more than a couple moving averages, and the price action. So let's take a look at Netflix. Now, it was some time ago I drew a line in the sand. Not to say that I don't follow this rule 100%. I don't feel there's a trader that follows their rules 100%. I don't believe that at all. We bend the rules sometimes. It just what happens. But this is what I have found when I have troubles. I always come back to this, and it puts me back on track, and I make money with it. So here we go. The red dots, green dots, this is what I call the trendicator. It is nothing more than a moving average. At this point, it's not important what moving average it is. What's important is establishing a group of moving averages, 2 to 3 being a group. Establish that, and that is your trend. Whether the trend is down or whether the trend is up. If Netflix was nowhere near my trend area, then I would not consider that as a trade. But I'm going to consider this as a trade because I do see some upside potential. Now, that does not mean it's a trade come Monday morning, October 24th, 2022. That's not what that means. All right, let's go back to just keeping things simple. The moving averages that I have up here is the white line. That's the T line. That's the 8 exponential moving average. The dots, green and red, that is simply the 17 exponential moving average. Now, I want to stop right there. There's nothing magic about the 17 EMA. You could put whatever moving average you want in there. What I would do is probably keep the moving averages somewhat reasonably close. In other words, having the 50 and the 200, for example, and being a short-term swing trader is probably not the best of ideas. I have found that the 8 exponential and the 17 exponential work very, very good for my style of trading. So there is a bit of, learning what works best for you. So right now, based on what I use, doesn't mean that it is based on what Charlie uses, okay? Based on what I use, Netflix is in a trend, and this is what I'm looking at right here. Now, if you want to go backwards a little bit and say, well, hey, looky here, we've got this low and we've got this low over here, we have a trend. If that's what you do, then okay. This is what I'm trading, though. I'm not trading this in here. What I'm trading is this right here. So I see a trend. I also see targets, but we're going to come back and talk about those targets up here that I see it going to. Now let's go to a chart with a little bit of price action on it. It's the same chart virtually. I mean, there's the 17, my green dots, the black line, because we're working on a white background. The black line is the 8 exponential moving average, okay? That little orange one you see in there, a little dashed right there, that's the 34 EMA. Okay, now what I'm going to use is a simple technique using support and resistance. So in this case, let's look at resistance. I see where price has been over here. Let's put a couple little arrows in here. Right here. And where's the arrow? There it is. And we're going to put it right here. Well, that right there makes for resistance. So a resistance is a target. Now, I see it maybe coming up into this candle right in here. So let's move that about right there, 348. So I see a target of 330 and a quarter to 348, and a little bit of change up there. Now, I know, everybody knows, but sometimes we forget it, that charts don't go straight up. So is there a probability that it pulls back? Yes. So this is where we want to wait for an entry. Now this is where a trader has to establish an entry mechanism. Now, if you're a member of Hit and Run Candlesticks, then or Right Way Options, we work together, you know that we do a lot of entries in the 3/8 trap area or a PBO, pullback opportunity. So what we're going to look for is a 3/8 trap or a pullback opportunity. So we want a pullback in here. And when that sets up, we'll look for that buy. We'll look for the buy signal. Now, the green dots, if it remains green, that tells me the trend is still working. Let's move backwards on Netflix right here. See how we broke out and just ran up? Look at that pullback in here. Let me get a tool. I should have had it ready. I'm sorry. Look at this. Look at this pullback right in here. Look at this pullback right through here. Pullback and rest right through there. That could have been traded. Now, would we have liked to have seen Netflix go higher? Absolutely. But there is no guarantee that a stock is going to continue to go higher just because you buy it. Now, we went through this period of just chop is what I would call this. Chop. Here we're moving back up. Here's our pole. We just started to rise. Now we're going to wait for that little pullback. So, bottom line here, I'm going to follow the trend. There's no indicator out there that I'm following other than the trend, and I use that 17 EMA. Again, that is not important. What is important is establishing your trades around that area and using around that moving average and using that moving average. If you don't get any stock picks or nothing comes up on your scanner, well, newsflash, maybe there's not a trade out there. So let's look for the trend. however you establish the trend, and then let's just wait for simple pullback. There's no need, personally, I don't feel there's a need to have Bollinger Bands or MACD or, RSI. Now, if you want those, that's perfectly fine. If you want to complicate the trade, that's okay. And for some people, that's not complicating the trade. For some people, that's helping. And if it does, then you should use that. But if you want simplicity, if you want to really break this down, break a chart down to the simplest, easiest chart you can find or understand or trade, I think I've got it here. Now, could I get it simpler? Maybe, but I'm very happy with this. I'm looking for green dots to be established, and now this is going to trend higher until it's not. Does not mean it's a buy right now. In fact, I would argue that it's a little high. Let's be a little patient. With that said, if I was looking to trade NFLX this coming week Monday would be October 24, 2022, this is what I would do. I'm going to put a line down here at the bottom, and I'm going to put a line at the top. And it's very simple. We break out, the trend is continuing up. We come down here and break down, the trend is pulling back. The price trend, the immediate price trend is pulling back. As long as our green dots stay intact, that is just setting up for a PBO or pullback opportunity. Now, we can have a pullback opportunity that stays above this bottom blue line of 267. We could have a simple pullback where it just pulls back lightly in here, and then the bulls take right over. So above 290.18, I'll look at that as a trade. I think that's getting a little high away from the moving averages I use. So this is not a trade for me going forward if it continues to take off, continues to move. What I need is that pullback, and I want that trend to stay intact. Anyway, I hope that was helpful. Thank you for the question. You know who I'm talking to here. Thank you for the question. This was a great example. Go back to this dark chart right here. We're just looking for that simple trend and trade price action within the trend. Everyone have a great weekend. I'll see you Monday, okay? Take care.